preaching, it's still very self-serving Christianity. It's like, let's make ourselves feel good.
Yeah.
It's always, whether it's self-focused on salvation or self-focused on just feeling good or making some money or having a good time. It's never like, hey, let's be uncomfortable. Let's go serve the kingdom. Let's go bring some people to Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very, very true. And I will also add that posture by Christians and that message from Christians, that comfort, that state of comfort by many Christians is why we are where we are as a society today.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the easy route. It's the non-confrontational route, because once you go out and actually start carrying that commission and start stewardship of God, you're right. It's hard. It's hard. It's dangerous. It's scary. But we were created not just as Christians. We were created as men to face that danger, to go outside of our comfort zone, to enter that arena, right? To enter that arena, and we are commissioned by Christ to do that. And it's because men of God haven't done that in the past centuries that to where we are, to where these unsound and unfounded academic theories are coming through and destroying families and destroying, self-identity and all of this stuff. Nobody, you only get there when people are more concerned about themselves, their own salvation, or don't know God at all. Right? Yeah. You can only get there by not. Society can only get there by there being a severe dehydration of faithful men who are good stewards of God.
It makes me think of Paul, right?
Yeah.
Because here's a guy that could have spent the majority of the rest of his Christian life just wailing and sorrowful over all the evil things he did before.
Yeah.
Right. He was at the stoning of Stephen. Yeah. He was at the stoning of Stephen. He was persecuting all the Christians. He was the lead Pharisee that was going to make sure that Christianity was snuffed out once and for all until he had an encounter with Jesus.
Yeah.
He has this massive encounter, dramatic encounter. I think we can say, struck blind, has to go find this guy. This guy doesn't want to see him because he's like, I know who that is. I don't want him in my house. You know, and it's like, dude, God said do it. Okay, fine. And has this miraculous transformation. And then he's all in, sold out, nonstop.
Yeah.
And I think that's why his writings are so striking and why we see him all throughout the rest of the New Testament, because he did the thing. He walked the walk. He talked the talk. And he talks about how he struggles, but his struggles are, am I doing enough? Am I doing the thing? Am I getting where I need to be? Are people coming to Jesus? All I want is people to see what I've seen and deal what I deal with. And I think that's the problem. Like you said, the churches today, if you preach a message that says, well, you have to make sure that you're still saved, or you have to make sure that you're not screwing up. You know what? Paul didn't care.
Yeah.
If it's obvious in his writing, Paul didn't care if he screwed up. All Paul cared about was that if he did screw up, and that's why he writes, if you fall, get up.
Yeah.
You're fine. Keep going. The only thing he cared about was, am I getting to enough people?
Right.
Am I reaching enough people?
Right.
Are enough people coming? Do people understand who this man was and what he's done for me and for everybody else?
It's such an urgent message. Right? It's such an urgent message. And it's urgent because it's the truth, and it's urgent because the earth is the battlefield of good and evil, right? And we're seeing Satan and God warring, and we have to enter that battlefield on God's side through Christ. God gave us his son. He gave us the ultimate template as to how to approach this and how to confront this consumption. We have to, as men. We have only ourselves to blame.
The world is the arena. We're the gladiators. And
that's the truth.
We need to be armed for this fight, and our armament is the word. It is prayer. It is being going to church. It's learning about God. It's knowing your Bible, knowing your scripture. Like how are you supposed to bring people to Christ if you can't even answer the most basic questions? Like,
Right.
Think of what the most basic fundamental disbelief of God is usually centered around, why did bad thing happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If God, why bad?
That's always the argument. It's always the argument.
But it's an amazing opportunity that's when people are usually the most open to,
it's true.
Is when something bad has happened and they're lamenting, and being able to empathetically address their needs with also kind of an answer to why this bad thing had happened.
Yeah. And when you speak the truth, it overcomes opinion, and it overcomes moral relativism, and it overcomes lies every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And that's how we break through. All right, we're running a little long here on the podcast, so why don't we Ryan, why don't you give us a couple things that maybe a man who I don't know, doesn't feel like he's courageous, doesn't feel like he's enough, maybe beaten down from the things that he's done in his life. Why don't you give him some advice from the Bible as to how to begin the road to being a good steward of Christ?
I think that the first piece of advice I would give is if you're feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you can't do these great things that you're called to do, I would approach it as a way I would approach any daunting task is just get started. Do something small. Get to church in the morning. Like, think about that Sunday that you have where it's like you want to go to church, and you should go to church, and you absolutely do not want to go. That's a battle. That is a major battle.
Let's be honest. A lot of the reasons that men don't want to go to church on Sunday is because of what they did on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about that.
And and that, or because they can't wake up because they were time went off at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Or whatever. Apply whatever here. We all know. We all know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But just doing something like that is every time you don't succumb to temptation, you've won a battle. Like a major, like a battle of the bulge type situation.
That's true, dude.
You've sent the enemy reeling. You've made some tactical movement that caught them off guard. You outflanked them, and now they're retreating. It's that big of a deal every time you just fight temptation, and just gotta you gotta build upon that and keep winning those battles.
That's great advice. That's great advice. I'll use something just specific. Let's talk maybe someone who's addicted to pornography, a man who's addicted to pornography. Well, I can't ever stop that. It seems like this huge thing maybe that has well, I'm just saying, like, think about it, because it's it's a modern topic, and it's a modern issue that has ensnared so many men and culturally. But how do I stop this as a man? Well, when you look at it as a whole, it's daunting and it seems impossible. Step by step.
Yeah.
Step by step. All right. You get an urge, pray. God says, resist the enemy and he will flee you.
Exactly.
And it's true.
Every time you don't open up that browser, you've won a battle.
Exactly. And
you're strong.
It's I mean, we're chuckling, but it is such an issue, and it's deteriorative, and it's consumption. It's consumption. I'm telling you, I think that probably pornography is the number one tool of the enemy today.
Oh, it's 100%. It's
definitely. It's worse now than it ever has been.
Oh yeah, so absolutely.
It's more available now.
It's more accessible, and it's destroying.
you think about, like, I don't know who said this, but they kind of made a point, is basically your average 13-year-old has probably seen more naked women than like the greatest king of antiquity, you know? Like the most
Absolutely.
heathen, vile king of
Mhm.
antiquity didn't see as nearly as many naked women as just the
Absolutely.
average
So how
13-year-old.
so how do we overcome that as men? Because we could sit here and be like, well, you know, we're Christians and this and that, and then you go home and it's nighttime and it's dark and you're doing things,
Yeah.
right? And then, but that's a little pinprick by the enemy when you give in to temptation every time, pinprick, and then it becomes so burdensome that you don't want to
Yeah.
get up on Sunday morning. So the advice here tonight is, if you're dealing with something like that, or alcohol, or drugs, or just past shames, things that you've done in the past that you can't let go, here's the message. Here's the message to you. You start small. Okay? Start small. Confront these things, pray for forgiveness, step by step, deny the enemy, deny temptation, step by step. The word says he will flee from you.
Mm-hmm.
That's God's promise to us. So we've about hit our time barrier here tonight. You guys, gentlemen, got anything else to add?
No, I think you brought it home real good there at the end. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
exactly
So
one
let's
battle at a time.
one battle at a time. And I'll leave you with this. There were 12. There were 12 apostles. 11 of them died gruesome deaths. They were willing to die for Christ. They got their heads lopped off. They got boiled in vats of acid. They got crucified upside down. They died for Christ. I, as a Christian and Christian man, am willing to die for the truth of God, and you should be too. Because that's the urgency of this. Our lives here are just that. They're just our lives here. Our home is above with Jesus Christ. So fear not, pray, find your courage through your prayer and your faith. Pray, listen, and obey. Adam Revival, we're signing off. Catch us next time. Peace out.